freedom activists say the Dubai episode is the latest incident in an alarming trend, that entire governments are censoring the internet. Robert Guerra directs an internet freedom project for a democracy watchdog group. He says governments everywhere are cracking down on freedom of expression and online association in a trend he calls Repression 2.0.
We need to follow issues related to surveillance, and we need to follow the trend of Repression 2.0, is the use of social networking tools and social media by governments to track down and crack down on civil society.
Guerra points to Tunisia, which is suspected of launching sophisticated internet attacks against activists and human rights NGOs. But human rights lawyer Cynthia Wong says even Western and democratic states are considering policies that put internet freedom at risk. Wong says governments are calling for mandatory filtering in an effort to protect children from dangers on the internet. And she says anonymous posts may become a thing of the past as governments try to address online defamation issues.
The goals of these policies are very laudable and very good, but some of the laws and the ways that countries are addressing the problems tend to undermine freedom online.
Activists like Guerra and Wong point to countries like South Korea, which wants to require people to open internet accounts under their real names. Guerra believes it's in reaction to street protests that were mobilized by cell phones and anonymous posts. And here in the United States, the FBI wants Congress to lower the legal threshold to access the private data of internet users. But governments are not the only ones responsible for placing limits on online freedom. Internet providers and other telecommunications corporations also play a role.
And increasingly we're seeing governments approach business and asking them to take acts that actually assist in government surveillance and censorship. And really, the way that companies decide to respond to these requests will have a huge impact on human rights.
Guerra points to the sale of sophisticated telecommunications infrastructure by Nokia Siemens to Iran's Revolutionary Guards. The deal included equipment that allows law enforcement to monitor mobile phone calls and track the location of cell phone users. But Google's Bob Bornstein says internet freedom is an imperfect thing, and people should not think of the internet in idealistic terms.
Our responsibility at Google, we feel, is to do everything we can to maximize access to information and to promote freedom of expression. And I use that word maximize very carefully because there is no such thing as pure freedom of expression.
In the past, the governments of Thailand and Turkey have threatened to shut down Google in their country if the search engine did not remove certain websites those governments deemed subversive. Google refused Turkey's request, saying it was too extreme. As a result, many of the search engine's popular services, including YouTube, have been unavailable in Turkey since May. Bornstein says Google feels it has no alternative but to reach a compromise with governments on a case-by-case basis or face being shut down in an entire country.
The problems we face wouldn't exist if it weren't for governments that were out there trying to stop people from accessing information that we believe should be free.
Human rights activist Roya Burumand says she's uneasy with the compromises made by corporations over internet freedom. But she adds the willingness of companies like Google to have a public conversation about it is a step in the right direction.
10 years ago, we wouldn't have thought that large corporations would have a responsibility in this issue. Now this man sits here and he's forced to speak with you, and that's a positive sign.
Wong says China is perfecting its online surveillance systems on its citizens and is gradually closing up the internet as a place for free civil discourse. She adds many countries are looking to China as a model for how to place those restrictions on their own people. Mona Rabi, VOA News, Washington.